China's move to curb exports of rare metals has propelled prices and fueled speculation of a bubble. I'm joined now by George Bach, Managing Director of Northern Uranium, an Australian exploration company focusing on mineral exploration, including rare earth metals. George, thank you very much for your time today. Let's look at the China factor here. And do you think that with all that China has done in terms of curbing back the exports, that a bubble has now formed?
Well, from an equities point of view, a lot of people feel that a bubble has begun in terms of equity prices of people exploring or producing rare earths. In terms of price, we've seen an enormous increase. But, you know, if you compare that back to the uranium price bubble that happened back in 2007, we saw prices come from $6 a pound to $130 and settled back to $50. Some people think it's softened, but we've gone from $6 to $8 a pound to $50. So with rare earths, we're not quite sure where it's going, but it's very hard to predict when you're at your highest point of price.
But George, of course, I mean, look at your company's share price performance. Do you think that speculation might have flown into your company as well?
Oh, absolutely. There's definitely a correlation. If you look at the last 3 months of interest in rare earth stocks, in particular on the ASX and TSX, and you'll see a pretty strong correlation both with the Northern Uranium share price and rare earth prices.
Going forward, though, I guess the market is looking at China's export quotas to be released once again for the next year, 2011 we're talking about here. What are your expectations in terms of how much China may further cut back rare earth exports?
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation around where that's going. I think I don't think we're going to see an ease-off reduction of that quota. China's consuming a lot more internally. So we might actually see at some point in the next decade that China will actually be a net importer, which could see a lot more pressure on price from where we even are today.
Okay, let's take a look at Northern Uranium's focus, which is on heavy rare earth elements, which includes dysprosium. Now, this is a rare earth element that gets used for permanent magnets, which ends up in electric vehicles. Can you give me an idea of how much increase we might see in dysprosium prices going forward?
Yeah, look, it's quite interesting. This year, what we've seen in the last 3 months has been cerium and lanthanum, which has been a massive increase in price, and we've seen dysprosium and the others probably perform well over the last 2 years. I think we'll see quite a substantial increase in those.
How much?
Oh, hard to predict at this point in time. Speaking to a lot of experts around, there's a lot of people are uncomfortable about predicting price going forward because of so many factors. Everyone's waiting for the export quota coming out of China, which is likely to be seen early in 2011 for the next 6 months. So there's a lot of factors weighing up, but everyone's talking at least 30-40% increase.
Okay. Now let's take a look at in terms of drilling going forward for Northern Uranium. I see that you've done your studies and you're looking to commence drilling in the second quarter of next year, 2011. Walk us through what your schedule is looking like from then onwards.
Okay. Just a step back. We're waiting for our final metallurgical test work to come through to give us a good indication of the process recovery. That's unusual to do it early on compared to other minerals and metals like nickel and copper.
Sure.
But that's important to understand that. We have the wet season in Northern Australia, so that's why we can't start drilling till Q2 2011. But it all comes down to exploration success. So if we have the success early, we can then infill drill from start to finish on an aggressive timetable, we should have feasibility study, should we have success in our exploration within 5 years.
Last but not least, you have a business, of course, Northern Uranium. In the uranium business, which you have a partnership with Areva. Going forward, the heavy rare earth elements, will you have a partnership with a big entity like Areva?
Oh, look, I mean, people would have seen that 2 months ago, Lynas joined our share register, and then our second largest shareholder with 8%. So that's a natural path to take, is to have a look at cornerstone investors and looking at experts such as Lynas and other groups to come in, because there's a big capital injection and expertise that will be required later in the track.
All right. Thank you very much, George. Good having you on the show. Thanks to George Bach of Northern Uranium. For more on rare earth miners, check out our interview with Lynas Corp's Nick Curtis that aired on Thursday. I'm Keo Kimura. This is Reuters.